we doing today? We have a bit of a different location for our live today, but I'm excited. We're going to be talking about polarity and how we can kind of dance within polarity in our own lives and in our own experience. So get ready. I'm excited. Let's just first start off and take a breath here as we land together. Inhaling and exhaling, inviting in that polarity, inviting in that dance. And just really letting your body soften into this moment, maybe bringing your hand to your heart, one hand to the heart, one hand to the head, and inviting in some coherence in your head and your heart. Feeling the heartbeat and also feeling that pulsation in your brain and kind of bringing the two together as we land here in the space. There's lots of noises going on around me, so I'm not sure if you can hear them, but we are here, we're doing it. I'm so excited to dive into something that I feel, I'm going to put you up here. We're going to have you right here. I think that will be better. Okay, so I'm so excited to dive into something that I'm like super passionate about and that has impacted me greatly in my own journey of becoming and understanding myself. And this is the magic of polarity. So this is about the sacred dance of the cosmos and the yin and the yang, right? The masculine and the feminine, the fire and the flow, the action and the surrender. And this is a topic that I think is often touched on, but it's not just a spiritual concept. It's something that we can begin to tap into in our everyday lives. And this is actually the foundation for everything. It's not just in a gendered way of like, oh, this is masculine, this is feminine, but it's like this energetic sense, right? And it's also how we create, it's how we manifest. There's masculine and feminine within us all. And this is how we move through the world. It's how we show up. It's how we express ourselves, right? And so inside of this live, we're going to touch on how this shows up in witchcraft and world creation and your manifestation practice, and even in how you may embody your starseed origins here on Earth. And then I also want to invite you into the Witches Coven as well, because we have this foundational framework inside where we really dive into the different archetypes of the masculine and the feminine, and we kind of unify them. We bring them together. And this is work that I have personally embarked on for probably the last 6 or 7 years now, really uncovering the dance of my own masculine and my own feminine within. So I'm inviting you along on this journey with me. Let's get started. Let's talk about masculine feminine polarity in witchcraft and creation. So when we're talking about polarity, we're talking about opposites. We're talking about duality. And this creates energy through contrast, like electricity. Like you think of a battery, it has the positive and the negative pole, and both are necessary in order to make the battery work. It's kind of how your energy signature works. You need to repel, and you also need to attract in order to be effective at being magnetic, right? But polarity isn't about separating these two ends of the spectrum either. It's about the tension that's born in the in-between, in the polarity, and that it's about how that tension creates that power. That is your magnetism, right? It's not about going towards one end and being super feminine, or going towards the other end and being super masculine, no matter how you're presenting, right? It's about actually harnessing both ends of the spectrum. To live in polarity is to harness both ends of the spectrum. And to some people, this may look crazy because it may look like you're oscillating frequently, but actually this is you harnessing your power. This is you stepping into your role as a divine creator, as a magnet. And so in witchcraft, we work with polarity constantly. The sun and the moon, we have the dark and the light, shadow work, light work, right? Fire and water, direction and surrender. And this isn't about like categorizing or like saying like, this is masculine and this is feminine, you know? It's about recognizing that there is this sense of natural separation and natural duality that occurs in nature. And by recognizing this and allowing ourselves to see this, we can actually harness this power. And this shows us that creation needs both that structure and that surrender. It needs that divine structure of like recognizing that there are certain patterns in nature, and then also being open to seeing it in a new way, right? So it's about harnessing both sides, as I was saying, in order to really harness the entirety of the power that you hold. And when we can see this outside of us, we can see it within us. When we can see it within us, we can see it outside of us. So it's really this two-way street of being able to work with yourself and your own energetic currents, and also the world outside of you and the energetic currents available to you. So the masculine is more of like this like directive, structured, protective, action-oriented kind of energy. It's this container. It's the clarity, the fire. And when we're working with masculine energy, we're often very outwardly driven. And this is how most of the world operates. So I would argue that we live in a mostly masculine kind of world, right? And then the feminine current is more of like the essence. It's the receptive. It's the intuitive, the magnetic, the cyclical, a lot of what we see in nature. And so even just bringing this up, we can see how both our world and nature coexist together in these two different polarities, and how it kind of like balances each other out, right? I love looking at the world this way. It gives it so much depth to me. So the feminine is magnetism. It's the element of water, right? And in spell work, in ritual, in business, in boundaries, in energetics, in everything, there is the masculine and the feminine, right? We need both in order to actually create this flow, right? The container needs something to flow in it, and also the flow needs to be contained so that it can actually flow into something. If not, there would be nothing, right? So, for example, in a ritual, the masculine might be setting the intention, the masculine essence, the masculine energy, not necessarily masculine being, might be setting an intention, casting the circle, calling in the energy, doing a lot of that action work, right? But the feminine is the way you allow the energy to move through you, the emotions to channel into you. And it's also about the mystery that you're opening up to, how willing you're allowing yourself to be to step into and sit in the unknown. And when these two work together, that's when magic happens. It's not a tug of war. It's not, this continuous kind of pushing and pulling, although it can be. But it's more of like this sacred dance. It's this coming together. It's this honoring of both the sun and the moon, both the masculine and the feminine, the different aspects. And so modern witchcraft kind of invites us into intentionally shifting between this masculine and this feminine in order, right, like manifestation, for example, in order for something to be effective, not only do we need to set the container and set our standards and call things in, etc., we also have to become receptive to them by opening to them, by opening to the unknown, by opening to our intuition. And this is really like the core of the work that I do, is like merging these two aspects. There's so much around, opening and being feminine and being in your feminine and opening to the flow. And then there's so much around, okay, this is what we're doing. Like, this is the structure. This is the action that we're taking. But if you don't bring the two components together, you end up in that polarizing spectrum of, I call it like a pendulum. And you end up swinging back and forth. And for me, I ended up in this paradigm for a very long time. And it was like, I was like swinging all the way into my feminine. I've touched on this in lives before. But I was swinging all the way into my feminine, and I was like not taking any action, and I didn't have anything to like flow into, like no container to flow into. And I was just so fully in my flow, so fully connected to my intuition that I felt disconnected, that I felt lost, that I felt like I had no purpose. And then conversely, I've spent times, especially in college, where I was really in my masculine, really in my do, and I would feel unsupported. I would feel like I had the containers set, but nothing was flowing into them. And so really the work is about learning to merge these two energies into our lifestyle and creating a lifestyle that really allows both of these polarities to work together. And how do we do that? Well, we're going to go into that a little bit, but inside of the Witches Coven, one of the ways that we do this is through working with these different archetypes inside of ourselves, these different parts within inside of ourselves, and getting to know the way that the masculine and the feminine shows up for us specifically. So to kind of bring this together before we go into this balancing of doing and receiving, I want you to think of a time where you were manifesting something, or you were casting a spell of some sort. And I want you to think about how you went about doing that, or imagine yourself doing it. You have to set an intention, right? There is an intention that needs to be set. And then also, it's about being open to what you're calling in. So, like, what you're being receptive to. Okay, so the next part of this is balancing, doing, and receiving, and manifestation. So, a lot of, I was kind of touching on this already, but a lot of manifestation teaches the doing, right? A lot of our society is focused on the doing. Like when we're in school, we're focused on the doing, we're focused on the action, right? In a lot of manifestation coaches will teach you to do the scripting, the affirming. And while that's not wrong, sometimes doing this can actually block us from receiving. And also, when we're doing, we're not thinking about receiving, right? And receiving is actually an active state that we step into. So it's not wrong, but it's only half the story. And if you're always like doing and overexerting yourself, you're going to burn yourself out. If you're constantly doing without receiving, that's when you burn out. You close your channel, you try to control what's meant to arrive with grace, and you cannot truly receive something if you are constantly thinking about the next thing that you need to do. I was actually just experiencing this, which is crazy. We're always initiated through the work that we're teaching, right? But I was noticing myself. I was at the park, and I went to go be by the waterfall, and I like wanted to just hop on live because I knew I was going to do this live. I had planned it out already. And I was like anticipating getting on live. And because I was anticipating it, I was so focused on the doing of the action, I wasn't actually allowing myself to receive the moment that I was in. And so I was like, okay, I need to put everything away for a second and really just like allow myself to receive, and then I'll go take this action. And it was really beautiful. But that's like one simple way that this can be kind of woven into the mundane everyday life. The feminine part of manifestation is the receiving. It's the resting. It's the softening, the willingness to let yourself be surprised. This is a big one, especially for the people like myself who want to do. We're like so focused on the doing, right? But are we actually allowing ourselves to be surprised? Are we allowing it to be better than we could have imagined? I find this happens a lot with people who like want to control the outcomes, or people who have had outcomes handed to them, and so because of that they want to control the outcomes as much as they can. A lot of this has to do with childhood conditioning again, which is why we go into this inside of the dragon's coven, a little bit inside of the witch's coven, but more so in the dragon's den. Sorry, I don't know why I said it like that. But if we're not allowing ourselves to be open and receptive to the ways that things can work in our favor, or that we can be surprised, we'll often feel burnt out as well. Like we're not able to fully be seen by our environment, or we're not able to fully receive. And receiving is really this act of sacred trust and self-worth. It's letting go and giving to the unknown, giving to God, giving to something bigger than you, to really like it's like trusting in something bigger than you, but it's also trusting in yourself. It's like, oh, can I actually provide for myself? I was walking on the rocks back at the waterfall, and I was like, oh, do I trust myself to step onto this next rock? And it was like, yes, I do trust myself. And it's like the same concept when we're manifesting, or when we're working with reality creation or building something bigger than ourselves. It's like, okay, do I trust myself to take this next step? Okay, do I trust myself to take this leap? And sometimes we want to like manifest and like control and like, script and do the affirming and all this hustling work. But there's a lot more power in just allowing yourself to leap and trusting that you'll land where you're meant to land. When you're only in your masculine, you might start to think, why isn't this working? I'm doing all the right things. Does this sound familiar? But manifestation isn't just about the action, although that is important, and I don't see enough people talking about it. It's usually either talking only about the action, or it's only talking about the energetics. And really what I desire to do is to kind of marry these two concepts, because they're both equally important. So manifestation is an energetic game as much as it is about taking the action. If your nervous system doesn't feel safe in receiving, or if it's actively pushing away what you're calling in, your energy is going to keep pushing whatever you're calling in away, no matter how much action you take. And so this is why doing the energetic work is really important as well. It's about balancing the two, and I notice for myself personally, when I get into the phase of like going towards one end of the spectrum to the other, it's usually because I'm avoiding either taking action or feeling my feelings. And so you need different medicine at different periods of your life at different points in time, and that's okay. But it's about actually knowing when to give that to yourself. And that's why doing inner parenting work, which we go into in the Witch's Coven, is really, really important. You can think of polarity like breathing. The inhale is the desire, the vision, the calling forward. This is the masculine, the fire energy. The exhale is the trust, the surrender, the embodiment, which is the feminine polarity. When you're exhaling, you're not thinking about, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to inhale again? No, you just trust that you're going to be able to inhale again, right? That's the same way we can practice spending money, like exhaling, trusting. When we spend money, we're giving money away. It's like, okay, do I trust myself to give this away so that I can receive it. But it's not about like so that I can receive it. It's more like, do I trust myself enough to give this away without worrying, right? Do I trust that the outcome will benefit me no matter what, whether I get it back or not, right? And this can roll over into your business as well, like sharing your content. It's not about like it's like you have the idea and that's the masculine, and then you execute the idea, you post the content, right? And then you exhale and you just let it go and you trust that it's building what you have set the intention for. And it's not about controlling the outcome. It's not about getting the outcome even. It's about who you become in the process, really. And when we're doing from an intention like that, it's like it doesn't really matter if we get the outcome. It's like, oh, the outcome is inevitable, really, because I trust myself so much and I said I was going to do it, so I'm going to do it, period, right? But when we're doing from lack, when we're taking this action from lack, it's like, oh, is this enough? Like, oh, is this okay? Oh, is this good enough? Oh, am I doing this right? And it becomes this reinforcement of the lack of self-worth that you're already embodying. And so your feminine really is there. It's just not showing up in the way that really embodies what you're calling in. And so that's where that dissonance is. That's where that gap is. And that's where you can begin to work and weave and begin to show up differently. And that's why embodiment is a really important key part of this. And that's why being in spaces where you can practice your embodiment before taking it out into the big scary world can be really, really beneficial. Okay, so I have 2 reflection questions for you before we move on to working with Starseed energies. And they are, where in your manifestation practice are you overexerting? Taking all that action, right? Without the trust. And this could be in your business as well. This could be in your relationships. It doesn't have to just be your manifestation practice. And then conversely, where are you under receiving? Where are you not allowing yourself to receive? Where are you not trusting? Where are you not surrendering? What's one area that you feel like you're not getting what you're putting in? And then what's one thing that you can begin to soften into today? Begin to embody, really. How can you begin to embody that trust, that surrender, that embodiment? And then we can zoom out a little bit and ask this in a more general sense of where in your life are you forcing versus allowing? Where are you trying to make it happen versus allowing it to happen? And I invite you to go into your body for these questions as well, because I guarantee you your body will tell you more than your mind will. Because sometimes our mind is like, oh, I'm not doing enough, I'm not doing enough, I'm not doing enough, I'm not doing enough. But the body is like, whoa, dude, can we just chill out and let ourselves receive? So what would happen if you let desire lead instead of control? What do you desire to do, right? What does your body desire to do? When we're acting out of this control, we often make our bodies do things that it really doesn't want to do. But when we're acting out of desire, when we're acting out of surrender and trust, it's like, oh, I get to do what I want, and that gets to be enough, right? Okay, so those are our reflection questions. If you want to pause this, or if you want to come back to these questions, I highly recommend doing so. We're going to move on to talking about how we can begin to kind of marry the masculine and the feminine, the polarity principles in specifically in channeling starseed energies through the body. This is how we can kind of ground that esoteric and the physical, the body, which is another form of polarity. So the body is this vessel for multidimensional energy. And many of us identify with like these cosmic beings, you know, it could be Pleiadian, Sirian, Andromedan, Lyran. Lyran. Maybe it's a different one that I'm not listing here, Minnetonkan or something like that. But if you resonate with this and you identify with one of those, or maybe it's not one that I've listed, but you have this higher sense of connectedness to a guide, your power isn't just up here. It's not just in the esoteric. It's not just in the 5D or whatever, right? Your power is in your body. The human vessel is one of the most powerful technologies. It is the computer. It is the grid, right? And what we anchor into the body is what becomes what we see. And we can do this through the brain. The brain is one portal of that, but there are other portals as well, like the gut, the heart, the legs, right? And so this is why doing things like body work and fascial work is really important. We go deeper into that inside of the Witches Coven and how we can kind of bring together the brainstem and the body. Electrolyzed reduced water is great for this as well. But the polarity here is like this above kind of energy, or this like outside energy, which is like the downloads, the visions, the frequencies, right? And then we have the inside, or the below, or it's like cosmic and earthly, right? So this is like the earth, the embodiment, the integration. And to really know something spiritually is to integrate it, is to have it be something that your technology remembers. It's like a program that you run, right? And a lot of us are operating on these programs, but they're programs that don't serve us. And so it's our work to channel these new frequencies down and create a new way of relating, a new grid, and show up in that new way. The issue kind of here is we kind of separate the two. And so we try to only stay in the cosmic, or we try to only be in the body, right? When we try and only stay in the cosmic, we can become untethered. We can become really ungrounded. And a lot of us actually do this as a defense mechanism. When we feel like we aren't safe here on earth, we'll shoot up into the upper chakras, and then we'll live in our third eye and become really hyper vigilant. This gives us a lot of access to these like higher powers, but it also limits our ability to actually integrate them, to embody them, and change our lives. And so the work really becomes like beginning to integrate these two polarities so that we can utilize this technology of infinity, this technology of polarity to our benefit. This is meant to be anchored through us, right? Like these ideas, this energy, it's meant to be anchored through us. So we're going to do a little bit of a practice. But first, I want to really bring awareness to why grounded mysticism is so powerful right now. There's a disconnect, right? You may have heard this idea of like the new earth and like how the earth is splitting, but really it's just that the polarities are becoming stronger, and there's going to be a group of beings, and likely this is you if you're watching this, that come to be that middle ground, that come to bridge the polarity gap. And it's not that we are meant to get rid of the polarity, it's that we're meant to live within it, right? We're meant to utilize both ends of the spectrum to help propel us forward. This is what I like to call infinity technology, which there's a video about that inside of the Witches Coven. And this is so important right now because there is, like I was saying, this kind of all or nothing or all or one kind of thinking where we go towards being really like woo woo, right? Or being like super grounded, super masculine. We're like super in our feminine or super in our masculine. And the work is really beginning to bridge these polarities so that we can live in our fullest essence, so that we can become the grounded individuals who are the embodiment of the spiritual wisdom that they hold in their codes and in their DNA. And even more so, when we can anchor this into the body, we can shift the state of our DNA and unlock new codes. And so this allows us to evolve more, like I want to say frequently, like more in a way that allows us to really speed up the evolving. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Okay. So let's do a little bit of a practice. I would love if you feel safe and comfortable here, you just close your eyes, really ground into your space, feel yourself sitting on your sits bones, tailbone grounded, excuse me, and the crown reaching up towards the heavens, elongating the spine. Breathing deeply here, feeling connected and tethered to the earth as you reach up through the crown, and feeling that space in between. And then begin to imagine light codes pouring into your crown. Golden, electric, crystalline, maybe white. Maybe you see symbols. This is technology too. Feel them spiraling down your spine, all the way into your tailbone, rooted into the earth. And just begin to notice how your body wants to move with that energy. Let it stir something in you. Maybe it's a movement of the hips. Maybe it's some light language codes in the fingers. Maybe it's a light sway. Maybe it's a kind of breathing. Maybe words or noises pour out. And just notice this. This is you anchoring in the cosmic technology. This is you embodying your cosmic self. And this is what power feels like when polarity is in motion. This is what it feels like when you embody polarity. And I invite you to come back to this practice daily or whenever you feel called. But for now, you can just go ahead and wiggle your fingers and your toes. Maybe place the balls of your feet on the ground, grounding yourself in once more. Feeling the light behind your closed eyelids and fluttering them open to come back here into this space with us. Taking a deep breath as you're welcomed in your wholeness. That was so powerful. Wow. Everything that I've talked about today, this dance of polarity, this fusion of fire and flow, of action and surrender, is exactly what we explore inside of the Witch's Coven. In this space, we honor this full spectrum way of being, the shadow and the light, the action and the surrender, the witch and the starseed, right? We don't force you into being one version of yourself. In this space, we embrace you as you are in all the different ways that you show up. For so long, I felt like I would enter spaces and I would have to conform to the idea of who people thought I was, or to the version I showed up as when I first entered that space. And so I really wanted to create a space where you could show up as any version of you and do this work alongside people who are also forging their own path and utilizing their own inner spark, their own inner fire. And together we live through this polarity consciously. We bring awareness to these different aspects of ourselves and how we can actually integrate this into the physical, into how we show up. And so this is a container where polarity is embraced, honored, expressed in magic, in creation, in community, in relationships. And so the core of this work is doing the polarity work, but there are different ways that you can go about doing this. And so while there are rituals and modules inside of the space, there's also freedom for you to explore it in a way where you get to do it in your own way. So yeah, inside you'll find rituals that blend our structure that we give you and also your intuition, and invite you into this deeper exploration of yourself, or yourselves, really. It's going to give you the opportunity to receive as much as you create and honor your human mess and the divine magic, the divine part of you, and also your humanness. So if your body is feeling that little buzz of like, oh, this is for me, trust that. And I just want to, again, thank you for being here today with me, for dancing in this frequency. If anything landed with you, or if you love the practice that we did, feel free to drop an emoji in the comments, maybe a fire or a water emoji, or I don't know, whatever your favorite emoji is, and let me know your biggest takeaway. And if you are feeling this pull to explore deeper, the Witch's Coven is opening soon. The portal is ready. If your body is saying, oh my god, yes, step in. Lean in to my DMs, and I will be dropping the link soon. But if you want to chat in the meantime, I am here. If you specifically want to enter the Witch's Coven, you can go ahead and DM me the word flow, and I will send over that link ahead of time so that you can get all the information that you need in order to join us. We'll be having some live calls for this round. And this will be a special rendition of the Witch's Coven. If you are wanting to do this completely self-led, I honor that. You can always enter the Dragon's Den at any time, and the course is available a la carte as well if you want to do a deeper exploration on your own time. And with that, I'm complete. It was such an honor to have you here today and to share this space with you, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Mahalo.